Ladies and gentlemen, we are live! Who the fuck is that guy?
I love you! My balls are hot.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another beautiful episode of Across the Cage. My name is Stefan, and again, as you can see, Mark is unfortunately not with us today. Unfortunately, he's still sick, either or. So I do miss him. I do miss him coming back and forth with me. I do miss him taking controls of everything. But look, at the end of the day, the professionalism of the podcast and what is required for the podcast needs to push on. So again, hopefully he'll be back in for next week. And that's that. It's still an exclusion zone here. I had to get past the Pripyat border to get into what seems to be like Chernobyl. Everything's blocked off outside. They have built a barrier around Mark, so none of his gases can get out and radiation can get out. So we're all safe. I am getting. You know what? It's coming towards the end of the winter season. Old Stefan's getting a little bit sick. Getting a little bit hazy. Hey, not from Mark. Mark has something completely different. He's got the sweats. He's got the shits. He's got everything, mate. He's got everything. So yeah, that's an update on Mark. I got my UFC 243 tickets today. Extremely excited. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that we do get our media pass so we can go out there and chat shit with all the fighters that are going to be on the card. But I'm excited, very excited. I've got some pre-sale tickets. Now, will my nose be bleeding at the event? Most definitely. Do I care? No. Is the atmosphere going to be awesome? Yes. Now, will I be trying to get as many signatures as possible? Depends. Maybe not. Mark, the lucky bastard, got front row tickets. He had a hookup from work, from one of his workmates that decided, you know what, we're gonna blow $1,500. Let's get some front row tickets. So he's sitting relatively close. So he'll be on Instagram stories duties for the night. But as I said, hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get a media pass in. Dana, I know you listen to the podcast, Dana. Please hook us up with some media passes. We are obviously trying to get into the game. We are Australian. We just want to get involved, mate. We just want to get involved. We love the sport. We love the game. Get us involved. But nonetheless, don't know what I was going to do with my leg then. Nonetheless, let's push on for our Thursday episode, and let's start off with some news. Beautiful. Okay, let's start off here. Relatively big news. The UFC have released former title challenger Kat Zingano. The last time that we saw Kat Zingano, I believe she had a TKO loss to Megan Anderson. I think Megan Anderson threw that kick and opened up a cut above her eye, or in her eyelid or something like that. With a toe. That was the last time we saw her. I believe, if my memory is correct, Kat Zingano, obviously former title challenger, she took on Ronda Rousey, and she had lost, I think it was a record 14 seconds. She got done in an armbar, 14 seconds by Ronda Rousey. So unfortunate there. Has she said something? I don't actually know. Let's just check if she said something on Instagram. Because what I did read, that she didn't say anything, but let's have a look. Let's see. Kat Zingano, Alpha Kat Zingano. Nothing. She said absolutely nothing. Oh, she said, yep. She said sun dresses during the day and a cool temper bed at night keeps this tougher summer heat manageable. Oh, it's an ad. Yep, that's an ad. But yeah, anyway, Kat Zingano's out. Don't know how much that kind of changes for the UFC, but you know, she'll pop up somewhere. She'll be a good fit for Bellator. A good pickup for Bellator, actually. She's got a decent name behind her. She's been in the game for a while, so all the best wishes for Kat Zingano. Hopefully she finds her feet somewhere. The California State Athletic Commission suspends Aspen Ladd's license to fight at bantamweight after UFC's Sacramento loss. Now, I agree with this 100%. If you don't remember, Aspen Ladd, her UFC Sacramento loss to Jermaine Durandamy. She got up to the scale to weigh in, and she literally had to be helped. She looked like she was a zombie. She looked like the life had just been taken out of her, and she was walking up, and she was all like shaking and shivering and whatnot. There is no way in the world, if you walk up to a scale like that, there is no way in hell that you are in a position to fight, let alone take any shots from anyone. Even bloody Jermaine Durandamy, far out. So I agree with this. I agree with this 100%. I think she needs to pair up with the UFC Performance Institute and the team there that look after weight cuts. Because you know, you hate seeing fighters like this. The weight cut game is one of the hardest things in the sport, and it's something that can be easily fixed. One championship do it perfectly fine. You know, we had Martin Ewan on the podcast, and he explained it to us, and it just seemed so effortless and easy. And all the fighters that have gone over there, your Eddie Alvarez's, your Demetrius Johnson's, they've turned around and said the weight cut here is so much easier. I'm going up in weight, and I feel good. I feel fresh. I feel energetic. I feel like I have more power behind me, and it shows. So maybe not for the first time with Eddie Alvarez, but you know, it shows. They do look healthier. They look much healthier. I think for Eddie Alvarez, almost too healthy. Hashtag you juicing, bro. Hey, Eddie, it's alright. It's just you and me. Eddie. You juicing? Anyway, Mark Diaz versus Lando Venata meet at UFC Copenhagen in September. Good to see Mark Diaz back. I know his last fight, it was kind of a make or break for him. If he lost that, he was most definitely out of the UFC. Very talented fighter. Very, very talented. If you don't know who Mark Diaz is, Google him. He's the fighter with the red, red mohawk. Really exciting fighter. I think he had 2 or 3 losses in a row before his last win. So good to see him back against Lando Venata. Good test for him. So that'll be exciting. But what is most exciting is Alistair Overeem versus Walt the Big Ticket Harris has been made, I believe, for the main event for UFC Washington on December 7. Jeez, what a fight! What an opportunity for Walt Harris. You know, if Walt Harris gets over Alistair Overeem, that puts him right up into, you know, title contention. I do know that obviously the heavyweight title is going to be defended this weekend, and we'll get into that. But you know, it's all up in the air of what's happening with the heavyweight, especially if DC wins. If DC wins, who knows what's going to happen? You know, is he going to retire? Is he going to hold onto the belt for much longer? You know, will he defend the belt against John? Will he go down? Whatever. But good test. Even Overeem, I think Overeem is one of those fighters where he's probably up there with what's his name, Uriah Faber, as the best fighters that are yet to win a title in the UFC. Definitely deserves the opportunity again, but we'll see. Big fight there at UFC Washington. Santiago Ponzinibbio open to lightweight move for Khabib Nurmagomedov bout, and Ponzinibbio goes down to say, I can finish this guy. Now Santiago, firstly, I'm really disappointed. I know you're injured. Disappointed that you didn't fight at UFC Uruguay. I think that would have been a very, very good event for you. I know that obviously he was calling out for wanting to fight on that event for such a long time, and you know, got injured beforehand. But I think stay in your lane, bro. Stay in your lane. Stay where you are at the moment. Do what you can do, then reassess. Don't go calling out for Khabib. I think Khabib's kind of getting into that stage of, you know, everybody wants a piece of Khabib because it's Khabib and he's marketable, and obviously he's got the rub from Conor McGregor and fighting Conor McGregor, so, and the fact that he's 27-0. But I think Santi, stay in your lane, brother. Stay in your lane. And the last little bit of news, it's more sort of a discussion point. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, but Dana White says that he considers Daniel Cormier versus John Jones 3 at light heavyweight if that's what they want. Look, again, I'd love to know what you think about the two fights. Besides Conor McGregor versus anybody, this is the biggest fight in UFC to make. Doesn't make a lot of sense for DC. Legacy-wise, he needs to fight at heavyweight. for DC's legacy, he needs to fight at heavyweight against John Jones. You know, he's 0-2 against John at light heavyweight. I don't see DC dropping the weight. DC looks really, really good at heavyweight. Obviously undefeated at heavyweight. And it doesn't make a lot of sense for him to even take the fight. You know, I think he came out and he was doing some press this week, and he was coming out and saying that he doesn't need to take the fight against John Jones. You know, he makes enough money. Like, obviously he wants to get a big payday. Who doesn't? But he doesn't need John anymore. He makes enough money off of whatever else he does outside of the octagon, whether it's with ESPN, whether it's with that what is it called? What's it called? Detail. Whether he does stuff with Detail, run by Kobe Bryant. He makes a lot of money for commentary. He's coming out to Australia as well. That'd be good to see DC out here as well. But he doesn't need the John Jones fight. But nonetheless, I said this last week, I'm a degenerate. I'm a fight fan degenerate. I would absolutely love to see this fight. But we'll see. I think if it happens at light heavyweight, I just don't see DC winning. He's just gotten way too comfortable at heavyweight. If it goes up to heavyweight, I think it will be a lot closer matchup. That's going into DC's territory. And I think if John Jones was smart enough, and there's not really anything going for John Jones at the moment, so I think a move up to heavyweight, if that third fight was going to happen, is the one that needs to happen. So yeah. And in regards to news, the only other thing I think was Holly Holm versus Raquel Pennington in the Melbourne card, UFC 243. Holly Holm returning back to where she famously knocked out Ronda Rousey to win the belt. It was the shock of the century, as they speak. The biggest upset in UFC history as well that it's been called. So it'd be good to see Holly Holm as well taking on Raquel. Jesus Christ, she's not African American. Far out. All right, and that's it for the news, really. Usually go back and forth with Mark. There's little discussion points and whatnot. Hey, Mark, tell me, what do you think? What do you think about DC John Jones 3? Oh yeah, cool. Good chat. But that's about it. That's about it for the news. Why don't we just we'll just jump straight into the card, break down the card. I'll give you my thoughts and opinions on that, and we'll go from there. Boom, boom, shake the room. All right, UFC 241 taking place in Anaheim. This is DC versus Stipe 2. One of the most anticipated, and I feel like I say this every bloody week, one of the most anticipated fight cards of the year. Notably for the top maybe 3 fights in the card, but there is one prelim fight before I wanted to jump into the main card, and that was Rafael Assunção taking on Corey Sandhagen. Man, Corey Sandhagen's been on an absolute tear at the moment. Corey Sandhagen has a couple of decent victories under his belt, and looks to be the next in line for somebody like Aljo, or even challenging for the title against Cejudo. I think this would be a good test for him. I think if he gets past Assunção, I think the next one for him would be Moraes. Because I do think that Aljamain Sterling should be next in line for a title shot at bantamweight. So, look, we'll see. Nonetheless, a really, really exciting fight. I mean, Assunção needs the victory to stay alive in that division. Otherwise, I would only envision him going up, or potentially not being in the UFC anymore. So yeah, exciting fight in the prelims. But everyone's tuning in for the main card, obviously. So I'll run through that real quick. So you've got Derek Brunson kicking things off against Ian Heinch. Really wild, exciting fight. I think this one. This one doesn't go the distance. This one finishes in the first 2 rounds. This one, you've got Gabriel Benitez taking on Sadiq Youssef. Sadiq Youssef again, another one that's on an absolute tear at the moment. I think he gets it done here. I believe one of these 2 fighters are out of Anaheim. They're fighting in Anaheim somewhere. So yeah, really, really, really excited to see that one too. But the three fights no one else is here, that I want to dive into is Yoel Romero taking on Paulo Costa, otherwise known as the Golden Snitch Cup, or you can even call it the no, I'm not going to call it that because I'm not going to make an assumption whether or not they're on steroids. But hey, Novitsky, hey, step aside, brother, step aside. Sit this one out, buddy. Sit this one out. So yeah, Romero versus Costa. Look, last time we saw Romero was against Luke Rockhold, I believe, was his last fight, and he knocked out Rockhold and gave him a nice, beautiful kiss. I believe he also missed weight. So the concern is for Romero is that Romero could potentially miss weight again. Maybe this isn't the right weight class for him, even though he does look absolutely dangerous in this weight class and could most definitely become world champion if Rob Whittaker's not the champ. But weight is a big issue for him, so hopefully he makes weight this weekend. So this fight is on level playing fields. But then you're versing Paulo Costa now. Again, you could put both of these fighters in the Arnold, and they'd both win. They'd both win physique competitions and whatever they call them over there in the Arnold. But man, they're both bodied up. I would do anything. I would do anything to have a body like Costa or Romero. Jesus Christ. Now I think Paulo Costa is an early starter, so Paulo Costa wants to get in and get out straight away. I think what Romero needs to do is either utilize his wrestling to nullify Paulo Costa's power and strength. But look, again, even if Yoel gets clipped, I don't think he's got that heart. He's got that Cuban heart, man. He's got that Cuban blood. He's not getting knocked out. He's not getting knocked out. So unless he's never been hit like with anybody that has the strength that Paulo Costa does. But I think Romero's got. It's hard to say if he's got all the cardio in the world. He does have relatively decent cardio. He does tend to slow down a little bit in the later rounds, but he's still active and he's still a fighter that can get you, even though it appears that he's absolutely gassed. But Paulo Costa also has his concerns with cardio as well. So again, I don't really see this one going to a decision. If it does, I think it'll favor Romero. But if it doesn't, we could either see a flying knee from Cuba, or a overhand right from Paulo Costa that flattens out Yoel Romero. Nonetheless, these two fighters are destined to be world champs one day, and hold your breath when you're watching this fight. Hold your breath. Then you've got Anthony Pettis. Anthony Showtime Pettis taking on Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz is back, baby. Nate Diaz is back. Stockton slap. The Sydney slap is something that is known to most people here in Sydney, and that's just that all that does. It's not a physical slap. It's not a physical slap to a human being. It's feeding a pineapple into Lucky 88 and slapping the machine away. But Anthony Pettis taking on Nate Diaz. Look, it'd be interesting to see how Nate looks coming back in. Last time we saw him, it was against McGregor. Midweek, he had an interview with Brett Okamoto, and he was talking about the fights that we were offered. He was actually offered a fight at 170 to fight Tyron Woodley, but he was asking for too much money. That would have done wonders. For him. And who knows what could happen? But now, all those fights aside, he's taking on Anthony Pettis here this weekend. How do I see this one playing out? I think Anthony Pettis is relatively well-rounded. The one thing that scares me about Anthony Pettis is that he can get you from any angle possible, whether he's flying off the cage, whether he rolls on the floor and hits you with the back heel to the back of the head, or just a nice combination, just a straight right. He can get you from all angles. He's not afraid to try things too. I do believe Nate Diaz has a size advantage here in this fight too. And Nate Diaz also Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. So I think Anthony Pettis needs to if he gets caught in those exchanges on the ground, Nate Diaz has enough in the tank to get the submission victory. And also, speaking of tank, Nate Diaz has all the cardio in the world. So, hard one to pick here. I think you're either going to see Nate Diaz win this one via victory. I think you're going to see Nate Diaz win this via decision, or Anthony Pettis could potentially, or even submission, or Anthony Pettis get this one done via decision. I think this one goes all 3 rounds. But again, another cracking fight. And then you got the main event. DC taking on Stipe Miocic. Stipe, this is a rematch. Obviously, this is the second fight they're having against each other. First fight, DC knocked out Stipe in the first. And that concerns me a little bit. Stipe, in his last couple of fights, whenever he gets clipped, he kind of wobbles a little bit. Obviously he was put out cold against DC. But it seems as though every other fight that he's had, he kind of gets clipped and comes back from adversity because he's got that Balkan heart. He's got that Croatian heart, and obviously he's a firefighter. So he's been out for a hot minute. DC's been a little bit more active than Stipe, but in saying that, looking at Stipe this week in the embedded videos, he does look refreshed. He does look ready to go. He does look like he does look like a different Stipe. Looks like a Stipe that's been patient, been ready to go. So, but in saying that, DC's always ready to go, regardless of what DC has on his plate. He's always ready to go. Always ready to go. So, DC, I think, could potentially either come out looking to get inside the pocket again and utilize the striking, or maybe we see a completely different DC game plan and utilize his wrestling altogether. DC at heavyweight, oh man, I would have loved to have seen DC versus Brock. I mean, that would have been a wrestling masterclass. Would have been a wrestling masterclass, that one. But yeah, you could see, I think Stipe's only danger is his striking. Stipe can wrestle, as we saw against Francis Ngannou. But in saying that, I think DC is a better wrestler than Stipe. So if it does come to those wrestling exchanges, I think DC wins those. On the striking front, even though last time DC did catch Stipe, I do think that Stipe trumps out DC on that regard. So hard one to pick, very hard one to pick. I think again, my heart's telling me Stipe, but my head's telling me DC. I think DC may be a little bit more well-rounded than what Stipe is, but in saying that, Stipe is the most decorated UFC Heavyweight World Champion of all time. So it's funny, the two fighters that we always tend to rule out of fights. We ruled out Stipe against Ngannou, and we always rule out DC against, or anybody, against John Jones especially. But in the last fight against Stipe, we all ruled DC out. We said, no, it's a bit too much, he's too old, blah, blah, blah. But obviously got the knockout victory. So hard one to pick. I think if I was John Orlando, if I was the Yank with the bank, I would stay right clear from this one and just enjoy the Heavyweight World Championship fight at the top of the card. That's it. I've had enough of chatting shit by myself. It gets a little bit boring by myself. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Again, hopefully, fingers crossed, Mark's back next week, and he can join in and he can discuss. We can discuss and break down the fights from the weekend. Enjoy the fights this weekend. Make sure you tune in. Make sure you try and give back to the fighters and buy the pay-per-view, or sink a few bevies at the pub. On a legally stream. No, don't do that. But yeah, anyway, enjoy the fights. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting the podcast this week. Whilst Mark's been down, I'm sorry that my voice does get boring. Hopefully I've changed it up with getting a little bit sick. Deeper notes today. So hopefully you've enjoyed it. But yeah, thank you so much. Thanks to CB Deals Australia. Check them out. And thanks. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care. See you later. Ciao.